What's chirping, crickets? This is Kim from Kim Takes On, along with my producer, Terrence the Wonder Duck. Terrence says hi. So I'm sorry that I was away last week, and if you're noticing that my hair is kind of messy and I've got a looser shirt on than normal, it is because it is hot AF in Massachusetts right now. It is crazy, stupid, ridiculously hot, and has been. And I don't do hot well. There's two things I don't do well: subtlety and heat. So my hair is a mess. It's because the fan is on. If I'm kind of a mess, I'm frazzled from the heat. I'm sorry. But I wanted to come back this week to continue what my topic was about last week. And I had mentioned the week before what we were talking about. We're talking about the reactions to people from the death of Elvis Presley back in 1977. And I mentioned at that time a gentleman that was called Orion. Now, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever heard of involved in music. And let's be perfectly honest out there, crickets. Music, the music industry can get pretty weird. I mean, besides the fact that you're dealing with artists who have their own buckets of eccentricities out there, saying that as a actor and actress and singer and such, I know how crazy people can be. The fact that, you have all these stories about, the excess of this and the weirdness of that and whoever and so on and so forth. But the story of Orion this is out there. This is very out there. Orion was his real name, first of all. He was born James Hughes Bell. Sorry, I'm going to have to look off camera a lot. I have to look at my notes. His name later in life was James Hodge Ellis, and he was a country singer. He worked with several established country artists, people like Loretta Lynn, people like that, did, backup work and singing and stuff like that. But he never, he never made it to, that level that's, people, when you think of country music icons, you obviously think of people like, Johnny Cash or George Jones or people like that, or Hank Williams Jr. or Sr., whichever, depending on what year you're from. And at one point, the thing is, Mr. Ellis had I don't know how to put this and not seem like I'm trying to be bitchy, because I'm actually not. He had a passing resemblance to Elvis Presley, as in they were both Caucasian males with dark hair. Well, I'm trying to be nice. But at one point or another, somebody, and they took a look at him and really thought, hey, you know what? You look a lot like Elvis. And this started a chain of events that, if I say only in a, it's going to come across like I'm slamming on the U.S., and I don't want to do that. I love the U.S. very much. I love where I live. I love the people of the United States, but good grief, sometimes you get weird. So this gentleman decided that he was going to be called Orion. He was going to put on a mask. When I say a mask, I don't mean like a Batman kind of a thing with a cowl and all that. Oh no. No, this was what's usually referred to as a domino mask or a Lone Ranger style mask, covering pretty much just the eyes, and that's about it. Like what Robin wore. Whichever Robin. There's been so many Robins, it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's a story for another time. No, not that kind of Robin, Terrence. I'm not talking about ducks or birds. Calm down. So this gentleman decided he was going to call himself Orion and wear a mask on stage and sing kind of like Elvis. We'll go with Elvis adjacent because I don't want to be rude. And he released several records under this Orion character. I don't know how else to word it besides saying character, including his first record where he was coming out of a casket. I'm like, what? I don't have that one, but because I try to be thorough on this show, or as thorough as I can be, considering the fact that my mind is kind of like a pinball machine. You know, you hit the one flipper and the bell goes ding, and you know. But because I am with an amazing person who is a vinyl collector and speaks to other vinyl collectors because they're out there. They're all out there. I do actually have two vinyl records of Orion right here in my hot little hands. So I'm going to show you the first one, which is called Rockabilly. You can see there. And you can't really see, but the outfit is white and the mask is gold with kind of gold highlighty sparklies on it. Okay. And the other one, sorry, you're just getting it. Can you tell there's a lot of production that goes into this? And this one is called Fresh. Ta-da. And so, this was this guy. He would go out in his... He also wore different masks. His masks would be usually color coordinated to whatever jumpsuit he was wearing. Because, you know, if you're going to wear a mask, it damn sure it'd be, you know, fit the clothes you're wearing. Because other than that, it would be weird. Sorry, that was not nice. Sorry. So this gentleman went out there and performed in this getup and this mask and this whole, well, no, he's not Elvis. Or is he? Spoiler alert, he's not. And people... Do you really think I should say it the way I'm thinking it? Terrence and I are very close, so we're like psionically in touch with each other. Women. Most of his audience was women. Women went to see this. A lot of women. Now, am I saying he was a bad singer? Certainly not. I would never say that. He wasn't a bad singer. But he wasn't Elvis Presley. And I know some smarty smarts out there would be going, but Kim, he's not saying he's Elvis Presley. No, he's not. But he's inferring the ever-loving hell out of it. I think we can all agree on that. And people bought this. People bought these records. People went to these concerts. They actually made a documentary about this a few years ago, which is actually the first place I think I ever really heard of Orion. In a documentary called Orion, the Man Who Would Be King. So go find that if you can. It was very interesting. And you watch people at these concerts that they showed in the video, and it's an experience. I'm going to say it that way because I don't really know how else to say it. Because you watch these women, usually. I'm sure there were men there, but I just didn't see any. And the way that they are watching him perform, it's like they're almost like there's... I don't want to say they're in a trance because that sounds mean. And that sounds like him saying he was trying to be deceptive. And I don't think he was trying to be deceptive. He was just out there performing. But you could tell from the way some of these people were watching him they really believed it. They really believed, at least for as long as this concert was going on, that this guy was Elvis Presley under a mask performing under a different name. I want to explain that I am not saying this as a way to be like, oh, ha ha, look at those dummies. I'm not doing that. It's just crazy when you see how grief can change a person and how grief will lead a person to believe something for as short a time as a concert if it will lessen their pain. And I think that's really kind of tragic, and it makes me sad. You know, it makes me sad, and I want to give these people a big hug. It just the whole thing of it. And when they talked to a number of people in this documentary, and you know, some people very much were like, oh, well, that's not really Elvis. We know that. But some people, you could tell if they thought they could get away with it without looking like an absolute loon, they would be like, well, it could be. But I don't know if you guys have figured this out about me or not, but I try to live my life reality adjacent, because I'm like, reality can be so miserable and full of pain and suffering and seeing innocent people hurt that some of us try and live in our own little land of lollipops in our head. And, you know, those are the people that have a rubber duck as their producer. But, you know, I started thinking about this from an actual cold, logistical, thinking like a grown-up attitude. Worst 5 minutes of my life. Ba-dum-ching. But I was thinking back to what I was talking about when I did my show week before last about Elvis's death. And the fact that you had people out there who really did believe that Elvis Presley had faked his death. And when people would say, well, why do you believe that? The answer most people would give who ascribe to this theory, the theory they would give is that, well, Elvis was just tired. He was tired of being, you know, Elvis Presley, 8 foot tall, name in lights kind of thing. You know, that he was a simple country boy at heart. He wanted to get away from the drugs and get away from the, you know, the debauchery. He wanted to start his life anew, blah, blah, so on and so forth. So he faked his death so he could get away. Okay. All right. See, this is where that theory and the Orion theory go like two trains colliding. Because if, and this is a huge if, Elvis did decide to fake his death so he could, you know, live life anonymously again and get off drugs and be clean and, you know, get his life back, wrestle his life back from the grasp of fame and blah, blah, whatever. Why in the name of Kermit the Frog would he slap on a mask and go on stage and sing? I mean, am I missing something here? I really feel like I'm missing something here. This is ridiculous. Because even if this gentleman sounded exactly tone for tone, note for note like Elvis Presley, which he does not, and I don't mean that as a criticism, I'm just saying it's a fact, that somebody would notice that. Somebody would say something. It's just an insane theory. And the fact that this gentleman, unfortunately, is no longer with us because he was killed in a robbery in the 90s. He owned a store, and he was gunned down in a robbery that happened at his store, which is just doubly sad and terrible. That this whole thing ended, unfortunately, another person lost their life too soon, just like Elvis. Although in different circumstances. It's just weird. I mean, the whole situation is weird. I mean, I don't know how else to call it. And like I said, I don't want to come off like I'm laughing at anybody, because I watched this movie, and by the end of it, I was like, yeah, this isn't funny. This is just, wow. You see the levels that people will go to, even if it's, like I said, even if it's just for the length of a concert, that they will try and tell themselves that someone who was so close to them isn't gone, that they're still here. And like I said, the last show I did as well, if some crazy thing happened and it turned out that Elvis really was alive, if he came out of nowhere and said, hey, I faked my death, but I'm clean now and I'm back, folks, I think most people would be like, what the F did you do to my heart, you son of a bitch? I think most people would just be pissed as hell, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. So, kind of a shorter show because, like I said, it's hot. And thank you again to TC for getting these records for me to show you guys. Orion, the Man Who Would Be King. Check it out if you can find it. I'm not sure if it's available on YouTube or not. If you have any questions, queries, comments, complaints, money. No. I'm just kidding about the money. Please, platinumroselle@yahoo.com, send it along to me. Please like and subscribe. Click on the little dingy buttons and all the other stuff that we have on these videos. Please hook up with us when it comes to our videos and stuff like that. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff like that. And for Terrence the Wonder Duck, I am Kim for Kim Takes On. Wishing you a great day and keep rocking.